Hello and welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic and back to 9x9 Sudoku today. And an intriguing puzzle to commemorate the Tata Steel Chess Tournament, which is building up to an exciting finish with Magnus Carlsen struggling to come back into it. I see yesterday Fabiano Caruana got to the top of the leaderboard and very interested to see how that works out. But what we thought we'd do today is have a look at this very unusual chess variant Lizzie01 created on Logic Masters Germany about 6 months ago, where I think she said it was her first Sudoku. So please don't write in the comments that all Sudoku is Rook Sudoku, because although this is a Rook Sudoku, it is not just meaning that each digit cannot see itself in a Rook's move. That would be obviously redundant information, not even worthy of being called a knowledge bomb. What happens here is that some of the pieces have numbers associated with them. So rooks are 8s, kings are 5s, and pawns are 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's all the pieces that we need for this puzzle. Now, what we then have, obviously normal Sudoku rules as well, but rooks, i.e. 8s, cannot see kings outside their own box, their own 3x3 box, without a pawn getting in the way. Or that would be a check position. That's not allowed in this. So this 8 can see this 5. They're in the same box. But that 8 couldn't see a 5 over here without a 1, 2, 3, 4 having got in the way, a pawn blocking it. Now, also, we have these grey cells in the row 1 and column 1. Now, for each row and column, they act as clues to tell you that the rook in that row or column, so for this cell, it's looking at column 9, the rook in that column has this many, whatever the number is grey, it can see that many cells. Now, let's explain what cells it can see. It's up to the first pawn. So it would look over a king. So even if, let's say there was an 8 here. If this was a 6, it sees that cell and it sees on to the next one. Even if this was a 5, it's in the same box and it sees on to the next cell. Now this might be a 2, it sees that cell but then it stops because that's a pawn. So it's up to the first pawn in each direction. This cell only has 2 directions, but most of the cells in the grid have 4. So if there was a 3 here, it would see 1, 2, 3 in that direction, 1 in that direction, and give us a 4 here. So it's a slightly complicated rule set. You could also actually tell that this number, which is also grey, would also be a 4. Only if the numbers in the perimeter are grey do they actually apply. So that would also be a 4 because, again, this rook can see 3 cells that way and 1 that way. So that's how this puzzle works. Do give it a try if you can follow those instructions. I'm sure you can on the link under the video. And I'm going to give it a go now and see how it goes. Let's get cracking. So, a bit of regular Sudoku. Look, 8's there and there mean that the 8 or rook in this central box is in one of those 2 positions. And then we have another one down here. And 9 must be over there. There's not much to go on. So let's think about this grey cell restriction. Actually, let's think specifically what numbers can go in the grey cells. I don't think a 1 could ever be in a regular grey cell because where would the 9 be? Even if you put the 9 in a corner, it's got to see, sorry, where would the 8 be, the rook? Even if you put it in a corner, it's got to see 2 cells. That's the minimum it can see. There's no way in the instructions it can't see at least 2 cells. So 1 can never be in a grey cell. So for column 1, the 1 has to be at the top. I think that's absolutely certain. Now, what about 2? Well, one of the grey cells has to be a 2. And I think this can only happen where the 8 is in a corner. So in 2 of the possible directions out of 4, it can't see any. That's the only way it sees no cells in a given direction. So I think we can put the 2 in there, the 8 in there. This one must be a 2 as well, because once this is seeing 2 cells, that tells you that. Now, that means that the 2 cells it's seeing are pawns. So that's 1, 3, or 4. That's 1 or 4. I'm sure that's right. That must be how these rules work. So we have 4, 6, and 7 to place in column 1. In fact, the 7 has to be here because that 7 and that 7 prevent the other 2 cells. So the other 2 are a 4 and a 6 in some order. Now, can we have a 3 up here anywhere? Now, that would theoretically be possible, although not in those cells because there's a 3 there, not in that cell because of a 3 here. Now, could 8 be in either of those cells? Well, we now know it can't because 8 is there. So every other place where 8 is in the grid, it's got to see at least 4 cells. It has to look 1 cell in each direction. So it's absolutely certain that that's a 3. Now, if that's a 3, where does the 8 go? Has it got... actually, I'm getting confused. Oh yes, that's not a grey cell. There we go. So it doesn't need... It doesn't tell us anything about where the 8 is down here. Right, I was getting confused. I carefully worked out 3 was there because it was a white cell, and then started treating it as a grey cell because that's the sort of thing I do sometimes. Now, 2 is now restricted to one of those 2 cells. We've got 8 in one of those 2. So the 8 in this box is in one of those 3 cells. Can we get any more specific? Yes. No, we can't. I was again treating this 3 as a grey. I'm not going to do that. That's not necessarily what it is. Right, so I think we're going to have to make some further deduction about rooks and what they're seeing to get any further progress. Let's have a look at this 9. That's that's clearly very big. And look at this. This can only see 1 cell to the north. It can see possibly 2 cells to the south. That's giving it 3. This is if there's an 8 here. Now, how can it see 6 cells to the side without seeing a pawn? I don't think it can. Where could you possibly put the pawns that allowed that? I mean, even if you huddled them away from, even if you put them all here, then the most number of cells it could see are 4, 6, 7. It can never see 9. So that is not a candidate for 8. It must be here. That means 8 is here as well. But we still have to fulfill this 9. It's never going to be easy. Actually, assuming we're right and this 8 can see 9 cells, we know that this cell is a 9 as well. So let's fill that in. But now, right, it can see those 2. That's fine. Where are we going to put 1, 2, 3, 4? We can't actually huddle them all in here because there'd be too many. There would be 5 1, 2, 3, 4s in box 9 if we put them in there. So one of them must be either here or here. If we can't fit all 4 of them in those 4 cells, and we can't, one of them has to come as far left as, say, here. Then you get 2 that way, 2 that way. Let's say 2 down, 6. Then you have to get 3 above. So yeah, the pawn can appear as far as it can look. So in all of those places, and then the other pawns have to be huddled behind it, as it were. So I think that is the only way it can work. That 8 is going to look at all those cells. Let's just color them in. That 8 is going to see all those cells. So the first pawn it sees in each direction is here, here, and here. The other pawns come behind them. Oh, and what about the 5? Now, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This has to see 9. What am I talking about? Has to see 9. That's better. I think I worked that out first time through, but then I forgot what I was doing. Those are the 9 it has to see. This is the first pawn. Yes, these are all from 1, 2, 3, 4. Those can't be 1, 3. So actually they're 2, 4. That means we know that in fact, that sees 2, 4 now and 3. So now we're suddenly racing along. Let's fill everything in we can. That's not 4 because there's a 2, 4 pair there. So we've got all of column 1 done. Yeah, and now 2 of the. Where is 5? That's what I was next going to consider. Well, oh yeah, 5 in column 3 has to be here. Can't be in those positions, and that's okay. The rook doesn't mind a king in its own box and can look through it to the first pawn. It's only the pawns that matter. So I think we're okay here. 8, 5 there, 2, 4, 9, triple, 7, 6, triple. Let's take out the colouring because it's kind of served its purpose. As long as we remember, oh, this must be a 6. It's not allowed to be a 5 because of the check in a different box rule, and it can't be a pawn. So yeah, that's 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then these are from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That does give us a quintuple in the box. So 2 can't be here anymore. It must be here. Let's take 2 out of those cells. Now we've got 9, 6, and 7 to place there. That one's not a 9. Now, can we deduce anything about, say, this 8 that we've placed in the grid? This is going to be 4, 5, or 6 by Sudoku. Actually, this is going to be 4 or 5 by Sudoku. Let's just see if we can work out anything about this. Now, it can't see that 5. This has to be a pawn because otherwise it would be checking a king outside its box. So it's looking 1 cell that way, 1 cell this way, 1 cell down, that's 3. Now that's intriguing. This is either going to be a 4 or it would have to be a 7. So if this is a pawn here, that's a 4. If it's not a pawn here, this is looking through all the way to there and scoring 7, which is not possible. So that is a 4. Oh, I worked out ages ago that if I can see a 4 there on that pawn, that proves it. Anyway, sorry, that has not been very smart of me. But anyway, we get the 4 there. This is a pawn. That's the thing we worked out. 2 or 3 there. That's in fact, we've got a 2, 3 pair. So that's the 4. That's now a 3, 5 pair. In fact, we can fill in the 1, 4. Sorry, that 4 was much more helpful than I was allowing it to be when I first saw it. And I think we are flying along now. There's no reason to not do a speed run at this point because a lot of this is just coming from Sudoku. We might not even need to go delving into the rules and working out where the knights are, where the rooks are again. Oh, hang on, let's see. We don't know about this, do we? Ah, well, 5. This is going to struggle to be 5. It's got to only see that far. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it could see a pawn here, and that would be a 5. That would be okay, I think. No, hang on, it's seeing further down, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it must see 1 cell up. So that can't be an 8. So this is an 8. So we did use the rule again. That gives us an 8 here. Don't know here. Now, let's see with this one. So we've either got 6 or 7. Well, this 6 doesn't look plausible. 1, 2, 3. If that was an 8, it's seeing 5. But then within 2 cells, it's got to see either 2 or 4. Oh, that would be 6, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If that was a 9, yes, that can be an 8. Fair enough. Can that be a 7? Oh no, that's harder, because that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it must see a pawn by there. That cannot be an 8. So it is here with the 6. That means this is a 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yes. And then that's the pawn it sees. So that resolves this one. So we've now got an 8 here by Sudoku. Because we have a 7 there, we know that that 8 has a property of seeing 7 cells. So even if we don't work out how those work at the moment, we know that it must be true. So now we can put in a 1, 9 pair there. We've got 1, 9 and 3 to fill in. 2, 4 and 6 in row 4. Yeah, they're pretty straightforward. 8, 4, 2, 9, 6. Ooh, no, I can't quite finish that off. 8, 7, 2, 5, 3. I'm looking at the middle box now. Ah, no, it looks like I'm going to have to do another one of these. So this is seeing 5 cells. 1 there, 2, 3. Just those 2. So those must be pawns to make up the 5. So this one is a 1 or a 3. This one is a 1 or a 4. It still doesn't get me resolved. I'm going to have to look at this one. This is the... Oh no, this one sees 6. 1, 2, 3. So that can't be a pawn. 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so that's a 9. Okay, that should be helpful. Got 1 to place in the box. That finishes box 6, which finishes box 9, which finishes row 2, which finishes row 3. That's a 9, I think, and a 4 there. Then this is now a 4, which makes that a 2, 4 pair. We can do the 6, 7 pair. And then we're just finishing off 9 and 1, 6 there, 3 and 2. And that is the solution. Let's just check that this one, which I never bothered to work out, is seeing 7. So it's seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cells. Perfect. Nice puzzle from Lizzie there. Intriguing to come up with a variant that allows Rook Sudoku. Tried to canter through it, and I did not really manage that, partly because having made deductions like working out that a 9 here had to match a 9 here, and then failed to carry it through for 4 and 4. But at least we proved all the logic. Very interesting puzzle. Hope the rule set didn't confuse you. And thank you very much for watching, and good luck to those competitors in the Tata Steel tournament. See you soon on Cracking the Cryptic, and bye for now.